Hello, welcome to Objectively Speaking. My name is Lottie Fiddes and I'm the Curator of History here at the Peoria Riverfront Museum. Today we're going to be talking about an object from our permanent collection, and this is a death mask of John Dillinger. I'll talk about John Dillinger here in just a moment, but a little bit about death masks. So it has been a tradition for many centuries to make wax or plaster death masks of monarchs, artists, politicians, and other notables or infamous personalities. And they've all sort of been remembered, or some would call it being honored. So this one in particular is a plaster death mask, and it was donated to the museum in 1993 by a woman whose name is Marjorie McDougall, and she was among a group of students at the Worsham College of Embalming, and that was located in Chicago, and her professor called her and her classmates to the morgue on the day John Dillinger was killed. A photograph of McDougall standing alongside Dillinger's body as her professor lifted this plaster cast, or one similar to it, off of Dillinger's face ran on the front page of the Chicago Herald and Examiner just 2 days after Dillinger's death. So the story goes that the first mask was confiscated by a police sergeant. Mrs. McDougall charmed the officer long enough for another cast to be made and smuggled out the back door of the morgue before a mob of curious people made their way to see John Dillinger's body. It is believed there are potentially up to 13 masks made. Some of them are plaster and some of them are wax. There's even some history that says that the FBI actually created a series of wax masks. So John Dillinger was an American gangster and bank robber in the early 20th century. He and his gang robbed 24 banks and 4 police stations between 1933 and 1934. He also killed a dozen or so victims during that time. So he was a very notorious criminal, and he was active during the time of other criminals you may have heard of: Babyface Nelson, Pretty Boy Floyd, and Bonnie and Clyde. All very infamous, but Dillinger during this time was the most wanted. He evaded police for about a year, and unfortunately for him, all of that ended in Chicago in July of 1934. Chicago police and federal agents were informed of Dillinger's whereabouts, and they gathered outside the Biograph Theater and attempted to arrest Dillinger. He tried to flee and released some shots towards the officers, ultimately causing his death. That is the story of our death mask of John Dillinger, and we are so thankful to be able to provide this content thanks to our Visionary Society and members.